Welcome back. As always, be sure to leave a comment, tell me how to improve myself. I'm always looking for improvement. Your comment helps out a ton. Also, be sure to check out my other channel, YC Games. Without further ado, let's get right into the video. Today we'll be talking about Borderlands 1 Remaster. There's been a lot of talk about this, and I'm actually kind of excited for it. I hope they do it, but there's some problems I have with it. So the first Borderlands game that I personally played was Borderlands 2. I played the heck out of it. I loved it. I got a friend to buy it. We both played it so much. We played it a ton. But while playing through, we felt like there's a lot of the story we were missing out on. Now, they did do a good job of explaining what you need to know, but we really wanted to know everything we could because we loved the game so much. So we went out and we bought the first game, Borderlands 1. And we basically had to force ourselves through it. Now, not that it was a bad game, but just all the improvements that were made in 2 made it not really like hard, like we couldn't play. It was just completely unplayable and a mess and terrible, because it was a lot of fun. It was just a lot more difficult for us because we were so used to the changes made in Borderlands 2. And that brings up an issue with remastering Borderlands 1. What changes are they going to keep, if any? Are they just going to go back to the original everything, just update the graphics, or what? So there's a lot of specific things that would be nice if they changed, but it would almost ruin the game if they did. So it becomes a big issue on what they're going to change and what they're not. Now, there are a lot of differences between Borderlands 1 and Borderlands 2. So just going through a couple of things would be fall damage. Obviously in Borderlands 2 there's no fall damage. Now in Borderlands 1 there's not a ton of spots where fall damage even took effect, just because there wasn't like a lot of cliffs to jump off of. There were a couple times where we just were running towards an objective and we jumped off a cliff and we got hurt. We didn't expect it because we were so used to Borderlands 2. And that's just one of those things like, well, if they got rid of fall damage, you could just jump off anything. I don't think that would really restrict the game very much, but at the same time it did make you think a little bit more about if you should jump off the cliff. And that just feels like one of the things they changed because they didn't realize it was necessary in the first game, so they just got rid of it in the second game, which makes a lot of sense. But that's one of those things that brings up the issue. If they remaster it, should they put fall damage back in it? Because like I said, it really didn't affect the game much. Just every once in a while you jump off a cliff and you get hurt. You didn't expect it. It's not like it broke the game. It's not like it made the game terrible to play, but just one of those things where they could do without, and they realized that they could do without. That's why in Borderlands 2 there is none. Another thing would be the auto pickup ammo and money, which was so nice in Borderlands 2. You're just running over ammo and money that's dropped on the ground from an enemy or whatever, you automatically pick it up. Now in Borderlands 1 they didn't have it. You have to go up manually, press square for each ammo or money or whatever. And that's one of those things where it'd be really nice if they kept auto collecting, but at the same time that's one of those things where it would almost change the game too much to change it, because that was just kind of part of what the first game was. And it's a really tricky issue. Should they go back to you have to go up and pick up everything? Because it did get annoying and it almost felt tedious most of the time after a battle, going up like, yep, pistol ammo, alright, money here, alright, this here. And it did become kind of a pain in the butt, to be honest. It almost becomes more of an issue of new player versus returning player, because I'm sure people who love the first game and want just updated graphics of it would almost feel betrayed if they went to a auto pickup system for the first game. But at the same time, people like me who like the auto pickup system, or even other players who never got the chance to play the first game, they love the Handsome collections. They're like, alright, now the first game's on next gen consoles, now we can play it.
Stay still.
So them jumping into it, they're not going to be used to the manually picking up. So they're going to miss a lot of things and probably not have any money or ammo for the first chunk of the game until they realize they have to pick it up. And that was just something that me and my friend had to learn back when we played the game originally back on the PS3. Which, I mean, it's not difficult to figure out. It's kind of obvious if you're not picking up ammo, you can still see it on the ground. But at the same time, there were times where you just kind of forget because you're so used to picking it up automatically. It's just one of those things, I completely forgot that I had to pick it up manually. Another thing that they changed quite a bit would be the heads-up display and the menus. Starting with the heads-up display, one of the biggest things is the mini-map. I haven't played Borderlands 1 in a long time, so correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure they had a compass, not a mini-map. And Borderlands 2 and pre-sequel obviously have the mini-map. And that's another one of those things where I prefer the mini-map personally, but there are some games that are better with the compass. I don't honestly remember if the first game was better with the compass or if it would have been better with the mini-map. So it's one of those things like, if they kept the compass, a lot of people jumping into the game aren't going to like that. But if you switch to a mini-map, A, it might not work as well as a compass would have, and B, it might make those people mad that really like the first game for what it is, and they don't want anything to change. So it's a really tricky situation they have themselves in right now. Now, a remaster very recently that comes to mind would be the Crash Bandicoot Insane trilogy. Now, I played some of the Crash games. I didn't own one. I just played at a friend's house way back in the day. So I never like a huge Crash fan by any means, and I didn't even play the Insane trilogy. But I just hear a lot of people complaining about how the physics are broken because they used Crash 3's physics in Crash 1's levels. And that's one of those things where it made sense at the time, designing it that way, because new players would adapt better to those kind of controls. However, it just didn't work with that game. So it's tough, because like I kind of been saying earlier with more specific things, if they modernize it too much by making everything newer, the new menus, the new HUD, auto pickup money and ammo, no fall damage, stuff like that. It's nice. They're nice things that I'm glad they add to Borderlands 2. However, it'd be almost disrespectful in a way to change up Borderlands 1's formula like that. And even the physics. I couldn't tell you exactly, what's heavier, jumping in Borderlands 1 or Borderlands 2. I'm not that kind of analyst. But I can tell you the games feel different when you play through it. I want to say Borderlands 1 almost is a little bit heavier. Like, you don't jump as high, you don't float for as long. And if they, stick with that system, it is a little more sluggish at times that I remember. So if they keep that kind of physics, it'd be sluggish, and it'd almost be hard for a lot of new players to really get into it and enjoy it. However, if they go with the new physics, not all jumps are going to work out right. It'll almost, again, alienate the old players because it would feel not like how it should. And this isn't an easy solution. This is definitely a, what do you want to attract more? The old players with, do good fan service with the old players and just give them upgraded graphics and that's it? Or bring in some new players to experience the story of the first game. Now, I personally, like I said, I played through it. It was alright, but I didn't really enjoy myself in it. And I feel if they do bring it to PS4 and Xbox One and all that, I would definitely buy it and I would play through it again, don't get me wrong. But I don't know if they are remastering it at all, because again, we don't even know if this is happening. This is all speculation. But if they are bringing it, are they bringing it for players like me who never really got a chance to play? I mean, yeah, I got a chance to play and it was alright, but do they want to bring in new players, or do they just want to kind of ease veterans of the first game who love the first game still? Because there are some people out there that still think Borderlands 1 is the best Borderlands. I personally disagree, but everyone's entitled to their own opinion. So it really comes down to who are they making this game for? The veterans or the new guys? and that is a very tough track to tread. Another big issue that I just remembered would be the controls. I definitely remember the controls being different between 1 and 2. I don't remember what the different buttons were, but I definitely remember being different, and that was definitely another adjustment we had to make. And I remember there are options for Borderlands 1 controls in Borderlands 2, at least in the PS3 version. I haven't checked in the Handsome Collection version. So that's an easy solution to that, but other things don't have as easy as a solution. Obviously, when talking about a remaster of the game, the graphics are the most obvious change. Obviously, they're going to rework the graphics to look better, and it's really tough for me to say, but that was one of the biggest things driving me back. I always would take gameplay over graphics for any game, but if the game looks pretty, it definitely helps, as always, like for any game, not just Borderlands. But if they can really nail the graphics, that alone will be enough for me to jump back in here and replay it, because I do want to play Borderlands 1. I want to like it, but there's a lot wrong with it, in my opinion, and the graphics were definitely one of them. It looked pretty bad. It was bland for the most part. Not a lot of variation in the different areas. It was a lot of just desert and town, like that's all it was. There wasn't a huge amount of variation. Nothing really memorable about any particular location, for me at least. So definitely making it at least look better. Obviously they'd have to keep it desert, because that's just what the game was. It would be too much a change if they turned into something completely different. But at least make the desert look pretty. And this brings up kind of another issue though. Should they go with a more Borderlands 2 look where it's a bit more colorful, or should they keep it bland? And this is just another thing that would divide fans. Obviously I'd prefer it a little more colorful, because it was extremely bland and I didn't personally enjoy that. But for a lot of people, that's what the first game is, and it would just be weird to not have that. So definitely upgrading the graphics, make it look just new, would definitely help out a ton for everyone. In conclusion, I do want a Borderlands 1 remaster. It would be fun to play through it again, and I would like to experience it again, because the first time I kind of just rushed through it just to get it over with rather than to actually experience it. So I would definitely enjoy a Borderlands 1 remaster. And if that's what they announce at E3, I'm okay with that. Obviously I would prefer anything Borderlands 3. But if they give us Borderlands 1 pretty soon, that would definitely tide me over until Borderlands 3 comes out. But as always, none of this stuff is officially confirmed yet. It's all speculation. No one knows anything, and that's just what we have to deal with right now. So that's it for this video. Thanks for getting this far in it. Be sure to leave a comment, tell me how to improve myself. I'm always looking for improvement, and your comment helps out a ton. Subscribe if you like. And yeah, check out my other channel, YC Games. That's it. Keep your stick on the ice. We're all in this together. See you in the next one.